All right, so Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng odi focus ya Nyankopon wode no dwuma baba na after say asophobia wo Ghana ha ehye I brought you some videos here of asophobia wo ahye nkom amanamam wo nkom hye wo hye no ambam it didn't come true. And what Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng edin sembia betudwa and what I say we there ono there wo nko no attack na wo tu ni yonko ni nuanom asofo no wo tu omofo. It was an advice na ne sem odi tu dwa na kire say wo pese wo ye celebrity a enye sofo. It says the pastoral work is not celebritism work. That is what he said. The pastoral work is not celebritism work. Entini asofo na mo madwen say mo pe fame mo pe say mo ye celebs no asofo na mo ne slay queens ne ye pe no ne asof maamefo no. Victor Kusi Boateng prophet papa yi what say sanyame nka hwenkyere wa ma social media nya wo de na wo ma bonten meka de nyame enka ya ennim. That is what he said. Without wasting much time, let's hear from this prophet of God. Yeba betos.
Strength is in who the viper bites and kills. But if Paul, in the customs of the barbarians, this viper was seen as a god that only attacks people that have defaulted in their commitment to the gods, or people that have heard that the gods are looking for. They were only preserved to vindicate and to preserve the legacy of their kingdom. So these vipers were not just released anywhere, anyhow. They only attack people that have heard so much. And this was the same viper that was released to encounter Paul. Yes, the viper was released to fight Paul, to bite Paul, to contend with Paul. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about fame. I'm not talking about influence. Anybody that is influenced by fame and money and influence is a baby. Because life is not about money. If all you are thinking about is popularity and fame, and it's so sad, even in our time and age, there are some even pastors, all they are thinking about is how to be famous and how to be influential for everybody to know them. If you want to be a celebrity, don't be a pastor, because pastoralism is not celebratism. Because interestingly, the greatest pastor who ever lived didn't have a 10,000 member congregation. The greatest pastor who ever lived had a 12-member congregation. So having a 10,000 or 20,000 member congregation doesn't make you a great pastor. Driving in a Bentley doesn't make you a great prophet. Flying in a private jet doesn't make you a great pastor. I came to tell you what makes you great is the kind of vampires you have encountered and the kind of snakes you have fought and conquered. Snakes that could have bitten others cannot bite you. Things that conquered others cannot conquer you. Things that closed down other ministries cannot close you down. Yes, it affected the ministry, but you are still standing there up. It affected your finances, but you are still standing up. Do you know that the same vampire, if they are to attack other people, they will lose their lives, they will lose their jobs, they will lose their businesses, they will lose their ministries. They fought you, but you are still standing up till today. That is strength. That is strength. Strength is not known by the people who stand by reason of money. Why do you think that the barbarians will say that this guy is so evil? This guy has escaped the wrath of the high seas, but the same guy cannot escape the vengeance and the anger of the viper, because they had seen that not a single person had escaped the anger of the viper. Not a single person had escaped the anger of this particular snake. Everybody that this particular snake encounters and fights, he conquered. But ladies and gentlemen, Paul was on a different assignment. Let me take this audacity to let you know that you are on a different assignment in your family. You are on a different assignment amongst your peers. You are not like your uncle. You are not like your father. You are not like your mother. They had a different purpose and a different destiny. You are here by a different assignment. You've got to fulfill your assignment. I know that it killed your uncle, but I came to tell you it cannot kill you. Why? Because you are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar person. You have been set apart by God to accomplish a mission and an assignment. Let me reiterate and let everybody hearing me understand that the value of your life is not built within the amount of monies you have stored. That the value of life is in the battles you have survived. You see, oh, hallelujah, glory. How on earth can the army of Israel read the resume of Goliath, but never read the resume of David? Saul said, "You are not able to fight this Philistine because I have read his resume." Watch this. David was just in the house of Saul, playing the harp for demons to live the life of Saul. He was close to Saul, but Saul never had the time to understand David, to read his accomplishments, never had time to read his resume. And so he was with him, but he still underestimated him. Why? Because his confidence and his dependence was on the fire that had been kindled by people. He never kindled his own fire towards David. And so he was able to read the CV of Saul, but never read the CV of David. And so David comes on the scene, and Saul says, "You cannot fight Goliath because he has been a warrior from his youth. There is no way you can conquer him." But David said, "There is a problem with your understanding. You know the David that plays the harp, but you don't know the David that kills the lions." He said, "You know the David that plays the harp, but you don't know the David that kills the bears." Some of you, the kind of things you have been through and the kind of battles you have survived, as young as you are, if that person that is driving a Rolls Royce was to go through what you are going through, they will be behind bars by now. You went through it, but you are still there. You are not in prison. You are taken for granted because you don't drive a Rolls Royce, and because you don't have a Bentley, or because you don't have a Bugatti. Understand that the issues and the relevance of life is not in the abundance of one's riches. For Jesus said, a man's life does not consist of the abundance of his riches, but what makes you a man and what makes you strong. Some of you are hearing the sound of my voice. You have fought battles and conquered battles, but because those battles were silent, nobody sees it. They see you in church without a car, and they underestimate you because all their focus and their importance have been placed on a car. And the reason why things that surround us are not important is because the only thing you go to bed with are not the things you have. Nobody goes to bed with a car. You cannot drive your car on your bed. Everybody will think you are crazy. You don't go to bed wearing your watches, so it doesn't matter how expensive your watches are. When before you go to bed, you put your watch by your bedside and you go to bed. You take off your clothes. You go to bed naked. The only thing you go to bed with are the things you have fought and conquered. And you go with it, you wake up with it, and you walk with it. And that is what makes you who you are, and not the things you have amassed and accomplished. And some of you, watch this. If you've ever done economics, there is a difference between value and cost. There are some times that the cost of a thing that don't determine the value of the thing. And some of you, the things you have done are costly, but they have not made you valuable. You drive in a very expensive car, but you are not valuable. But the things you have fought and the things you have survived Because I always say this, everybody watch me and listen to me. Every good thing can be enjoyed by any ordinary man. You didn't get it? Any good thing can be enjoyed by any ordinary man. Go to my village, Techima Mreweja. I'm not speaking tongues, that's my village. And try and go with the Prada bag and Rolls Royce and very expensive things, and add $1 million to the poorest person in the village and get a driver for them. And you realize that every ordinary person can enjoy every beautiful and expensive thing. Go and bring the poorest person, put them in Marriott Hotel, and you see that they can enjoy the good bed. Call the cheapest person and give them designer bags, and you realize that it will change their style. Anybody can enjoy every good thing, but it is not anybody that can go through what you have been through, that can survive what you are surviving. It is not anybody that can be still alive after their encounter with the viper. And so for those of you who have encountered vipers, you have fought battles and survived, and everybody underestimates you. I want to use this medium to let you understand that I, Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng, I don't underestimate you. Because you fought battles and won, you may not have a car, but you are more valuable than the one that drives a Bentley. Because your value is not in the things that you have, but your value is in the battles that you have survived. Your battle, some of you are fighting battles as you listen to me. And the fact that you are still here in the fight and in this encounter with the viper is an indicator that there is something about you that attracts the enemy. Because the same battles you are fighting, your mother fought it, died prematurely. You are fighting it, you are still here. The same battles that you are fighting, somebody else fought it, and today they've gone mentally derailed, but you are still here serving God all right. That is why I'm always redefining faith. That to me, faith is not believing God for a miracle and getting a miracle the next day. To me, that is not faith. Faith to me is not coming to church and trusting God that may you give me a new car, and the next day somebody knocks at your door and gives you a new car. To me, that is not faith. And so somebody will ask me, what is faith? To me, faith is trusting God for a miracle. 10 years down the line, you still don't have the miracle, but you are still trusting God that God shall do it anyway. Because who cannot enjoy believing God for a car in 2 days and having it, and still trusting God, but you have not had it for 10 years? You are still here. You are trusting God. I came to tell you, you are better than the one that trusted God for a car and in a matter of a year had it. Because some people are to go through what you have been going through, the cycles you have been dealing with, and the cycles you have been going through. They will still not be in church. They will have quit church. They will have quit church. I met somebody who said, you no more go to church. Why? Because he said God was able to look at him for him to become insane. And after he became insane, he got healed. But he still cannot forgive God for making him go through what he went through mentally and for healing him. He said he will never go back to church. And I said it is only an advanced insanity that will be manifesting through this man that feels he has been cured. Because if you know, there are a lot of people that serve God better than you do. They had mental issues. They never survived it. They are dead and gone. Some of them are still on antidepressant medications. They are still serving God. And you got ill. The Lord healed you. And you have an attitude towards God. Don't you know that just the message of enduring and the message of being healed by God is a message enough to let you know that what others could not go through, you have been able to go through it and survive. And so if today you stand where you stand, it is not by might nor by power. It is by the grace of the Almighty God. If you can light your own fire, or if where you are hearing me from, you can hear my voice, say, light my own fire.
Light my own fire.
Then there are some things people don't survive that you can survive. There are some vipers that can kill but cannot kill you. There are some sicknesses that will maim people that cannot maim you. There are some struggles that will shut people down, but cannot shut you down. What a powerful name this name is. How the children of Israel were able to walk within a particular shoe for 40 years. And they wore the same shoe. And yet, they didn't realize that with the shoes, as we grew, the size should have changed. But as we grew, the shoe also grew. So many a times, it is not how many shoes you are able to have, but many a times how the one shoe you have is able to grow with your feet. That is where the miracle is. Some of you only realize that it is a miracle when it is multiplicities of shoes. But you don't realize that multiplicity of shoes is no testimony, but enlargement of shoe is the testimony. Some of you are thanking God for multiplicities because I didn't have a shoe. I now have 20 shoes. To me, that is not a miracle. To me, where the miracle is, the leg that grows with the size of the shoe. And some of you, the real testimony is not in the miracle you claim the Lord has done in your life. But the real testimony is how you survived during your crisis. How you didn't go mad, how you didn't cheat, how you didn't compromise on God, how you still survived in the midst of it all and you are still here. And there are some people that are driving good cars and beautiful cars, and you have sworn like Daniel did, never to contaminate yourself, and you don't have what they have, but by the grace of God you have survived what they could not survive. They drive in better cars, you drive in a lesser car, and they try to make a ridicule of you. But I came to tell you and to announce you, don't ever allow their ridicule to get into you. Understand that what makes you who you are is not what you have, but it is the things that you have survived. Can you survive this viper that kills people within seconds? But I survived it. Some of you are short, but the vipers you survived were longer than you, but you survived them. Some of you are broke, but it is not about the pocket and how heavy it is. It is about how you were able to survive hunger. Because it's people, do you know how many people die out of hunger in a year? 9.1 million people die out of hunger every single year. 9.1 people globally. 9.1 die out of hunger every single year. But without provision, you survived hunger. I remember years ago, we could go 3 days. You cannot suffer that day without access to food. Not because we didn't want to eat. No access to food. Walking, still preaching the gospel. And many a times when I look back, I wonder how I was able to survive those days. How I was able to wear a particular jeans for 5 consecutive years. 5 years without changing it. A blue jeans that was turned into off-white. One particular jeans for 5 years. How I survived it, I don't know. And so if you think that my value is in the car I drive, you are making a mistake. I'm more valuable than my car. Because my car can be bought, but my experience cannot be merchandised. My house can be built, but my encounters cannot be built. My resume can be constructed. You can even assess how to build your resume on the internet. But my experiences cannot be built. You cannot get on the internet and try to emulate and duplicate my experience on the internet. You cannot. And so every one of you hearing me tonight, as you light your fire, understand that there are some vipers you attract. But there is a good news. If the viper reacted because of the heat, then the heat can take care of the viper. I don't think you heard me. Don't think you heard me. Let me say it again. If the viper reacted because of the heat, then the heat can take care of the viper. If not for the heat, the viper wouldn't have reacted. There are some of you, if not for God, if you are in the world, you'll be having a private jet. A man may have bought a private jet for you. But you are going through what you are going through because the enemy is reacting to your connectivity with God. So if the God of heaven is the cause of this reaction, then I came to tell you, he can deal with every viper. He can deal with every encounter. That is why the Bible says that many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord his God shall. It didn't say me. So watch this. Remember that if it is the heat that caused the reaction of the viper, then the heat can deal with the viper. The heat can. If everything you are going through is as a result of a reaction, then God's action is inevitable. You didn't hear it. You didn't hear it. I said, if everything you are going through is as a result of the reaction of the God you serve, then the action of your God is inevitable. Maybe you have a problem with the English language. Let me say it again. If the challenges in your marriage, the challenges in your finances, if what you are going through is as a result of the reaction of the enemy, then the action of your God is inevitable. Which means that if the enemy can react, then God will purposefully, surely act on your behalf. That is why David will say this, that I was young, but now I'm old. I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. If the enemy reacts, then God will act. I said, if the enemy reacts, then God will act. And that is why you cannot trust in the arm of flesh. It will disappoint you. That is why you got to learn the art of lighting your own fire. Because if you are able to light your fire, then you can survive every viper. There are some of you, the only thing that will give you the energy and the strength to conquer all vipers is the light. Is the fire you light. If you don't depend upon their light, but depend upon the light of God, then I came to tell you that you survive every mountain. You survive every valley. You survive every disease. The Bible didn't say that he will not cause us to go through the valleys of the shadows of death. Psalm 23 says, even though thou go through the valleys of the shadows of death, I will be with you. So being a believer or being a prayerful person is not an immunity from challenges and from attracting the viper. I don't do any same more Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng what the etudwa. I would tune in your normal softphone for just a any gene de esie nemum asofo bi gunyame ho fin mose ene ya masante se ba ko bi aba ba kan se metire se ena yame fa na so kan se oba no ene be ma na be wini be ma enso ne video a ye ko hweye wo se oba na be wini ene me hu se wa grant interview ki kan se mi se wo ka se be ma na be wini. It's a lie. It's never true. It's never true. But all the same, Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng, I respect him a lot. And to me, Kasa Bebre. Wakasa, we tune in on the phone. Mon Fabin Tumuko to dream Yamen country in Chiramo because of social media and Tino, Namayamo. But with all due respect, that is what I'll tell you, people. I was also watching subscribe to YouTube channel Ashanti Media and Rajab Media. Like na fi san shema from Monsu Etrichi and Bente. Medi e de oduman come about na Kofi. Foko 2000 bookshop asia wana we free Kumasi additional market kwan mu a ho na Mr. Emmanuel Bekun watonton sandals nkoran pobo mpenimfo mpobo sandals kama nkora de ko school mpenimfo timi de ko school mpenimfo timi hye de ko adwuma Foko 2000 bookshop asia wana my market lenimu and Mr. Emmanuel Bekun otonton paboi for hono so kwaje odi baba mitia Mr. and Mrs. Adingo mo bremai so me onechi wona abutira kontu de papa yi wo nkofo mutime boa ama bibia kama ene wachi mamo chapters in Tilapia won so o daban Sindis Junction emenhira mo abusua macro